All right, The Return of the King. Let's talk about the final book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and let's see what we can learn from it. I think there's a lot in this one. I think there's some really deep philosophy, some really deep theology, actually, in this book, so stick around. This one's going to be good. So, let's start maybe a little bit lighter with the scenery. You guys know I love scenery. The scenery in The Return of the King is really important, and it's really vital in how the book feels. And specifically for the portion of the book where Sam and Frodo are in Mordor, the scenery sucks. It's oppressive, it's stuffy, it's dark, it's dank, it's smelly, it's like you can almost taste it. It's not good. And you can feel the weight almost that Frodo and Sam have to bear. You can feel just how terrible and how difficult this journey is for them. And Tolkien does this through painting with his words. It's so impressive, and he does it in all the books, and it's like one of my favorite parts of his writing. A lot of people complain about it, like, oh, why do you gotta talk about the scenery so much? It's because it makes you feel like you're there, and that's super important in these stories. So love the scenery as usual. You can feel the slog in this one, but that's intentional, and I love it. So next, I think we got to talk about courage. Courage is a huge theme in this book, and we see it illustrated two times really powerfully, I think. So the first one is with Rohan. Rohan is called to go aid Gondor, and they don't have to per se, but they do anyways. And this is a super big step, and it's a super courageous one for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's like no hope anymore. Sauron is all but won. He has way more manpower, way bigger armies to outmatch the men of Gondor and Rohan. And, it seems like all hope is lost. But in spite of that, the men of Rohan decide to go aid Gondor anyways. Come on, Bella. Not during the video. Playing with shit. Cats. So, decides to aid Gondor. Rohan goes, super courageous, which I think is really important for us to learn from, because even in spite of situations that seem hopeless, I think it's important for us to proceed courageously and bravely and try to hold on to hope, because as we find out, Aragorn comes around and meets Rohan, and they actually end up winning the battle. So it doesn't take it takes more than one person to have courage too, and I think that's part of what Tolkien is getting at here. The Battle of Pelennor Fields would not have been won if but only one person had the courage to go and fight. It required courage from everyone, a collective courage. And you see this again mirrored with the Black Gate. So at this point in the story, they've won the Battle of Pelennor Fields, and all of the armies of the West are pretty much unified at Minas Tirith, but Frodo hasn't destroyed the ring yet. So Gandalf and Aragorn talk, and they say, we need to go distract Sauron, because if he finds out about Frodo, all of this is going to be a waste. So we need to distract him. We need to put his eye on our army at the Black Gate. So they go into this suicide mission, and they know that they might not come back, same as the Riders of Rohan earlier on. They know that they might not come back, and they go anyways, despite it. And there's this really good scene along the road to Mordor where Aragorn notices that the troops are feeling disenfranchised, disheartened, terrified, all, valid feelings at this point. So he turns around and says, we have another place that needs to be fortified some miles back. I forget exactly what it was in the book. And if you guys want to, some of you can go fortify that instead of coming on this suicide mission. It'll be a courageous post, and none of us will think less of you for it. And some people go, but that like strengthened their resolve, and not that many people went to go to that post, which I think is a powerful display of Aragorn's leadership here. He doesn't try to sugarcoat it. He doesn't try to force them. He doesn't compel them. He leads through showing his example, and he's not forceful about it, which again, Aragorn's like the perfect leader. So it's a really good trait to understand. So next up here, I want to talk just briefly about Faramir and Eowyn. I think they're a great matchup. Watch my video on the Two Towers. I talk about Faramir for a good bit there. He's almost like this more down-to-earth version of Aragorn. Aragorn is this super high king who's in this bloodline, and there's prophecies about him and all this stuff, and it's like, that's definitely an ideal to aspire to, but only to aspire to. Like, I can't touch it. It's like, it's divine almost. And Faramir is a lot more down to earth. Like, you can look at him and say, okay, he's doing the best with what time he's been given, and he still does great things with it. He's not this like prophetic, mythical dude, you know. And I think that story kind of comes to a nice close with his relationship with Eowyn and how that pans out. So I really like that. I like that scene from the book. Uh, it's really heartwarming. So I like that a lot. So now we have to talk about some more heavy topics, and that is Gollum. So Gollum is one of the most curious parts of the whole series, because, like, why the hell is Gollum there? From the get-go, you know, Frodo talks about, why didn't Bilbo just kill Gollum? Like, and Gandalf points out, it's important, you know, who are you to give life and death? And maybe Bilbo's pity for Gollum is going to have bigger effects in the long run. And it did. And, you know, Gandalf is, you know, Gandalf, so of course he knew that it might, but the fact that Bilbo didn't kill Gollum actually meant that the One Ring got destroyed, because Frodo, when he reaches Mount Doom, he doesn't throw the ring in. He takes it off, says, I'm just going to keep this ring now, puts it on. Peter Jackson's version in The Return of the King is excellent, very dramatic. And then Gollum knocks Sam out with a rock and hops onto Frodo, bites the ring off and throws it into, and then falls into the cracks of Doom. But before this, there's this brief scene where Gollum tries to take the ring from Frodo on their way up Mount Doom, and Frodo and Sam subdue him. And for a moment, from Sam's perspective, we see Frodo put a curse on Gollum. Frodo kind of raises into this, oh, get out, Bella. Frodo raises into this big, strong, powerful being wielding the ring, and Gollum kind of cowers down below him. And Frodo says, if you try to touch me again to get the ring, I promise you, you're going to fall into the cracks of Doom. And this is what happens, as we see. And I think there's this, this is my interpretation, but I think what Tolkien is trying to say here is that Gollum is an instrument of fate and chance, but from God. So in the Tolkien universe, we have Iluvatar, who created everything. He's God, effectively, in the Tolkien world. And Tolkien was a Catholic. So I think, understanding it from that perspective, we can maybe see that, okay, Iluvatar's chosen race are men. That is his favored race that he created. To men he gave strange gifts, one of them being mortality. So he wants men to survive, obviously, but I don't think Tolkien wanted to Deus Ex Machina it and just have Iluvatar just come down and make something happen. It's like, oh, Sauron's gaining too much power, let's just get rid of Sauron because I can, because I'm God. Like, he wanted it to be a lot more subtle than that, because I think that's how God works. I think that's how Tolkien's belief, and personally my belief as well, in God works. God's not going to come down here and just make your life better, but there is divine influence in our day-to-day lives, and it's going to be a lot more subtle. Like the saying goes, God works in mysterious ways. So here's kind of my interpretation of it. I think Iluvatar uses the instruments at the disposal in the playing field, the pieces that are already there, to make his will happen, his will being the preservation of the entire world of men, pretty much. So I think he does this with the ring, which is so ironic, right? He uses Sauron to tear Sauron down. Frodo has the Ring of Power, which means, in my interpretation, that he's able to put this curse on Gollum and have the curse actually mean something in a cosmic sense, like under Iluvatar. So Iluvatar allows Frodo almost to put this curse on him through the ring, and then when Gollum hops on Frodo and tries to take the ring off, perhaps Iluvatar just caused Gollum to slip, miss his footing, and that's the way it is. And, you know, this is just my interpretation. I think there could be multiple interpretations here, but I think it kind of just seems to track and fall into line with the Tolkien universe and his beliefs. And it's an interpretation that I like, because it's almost like Tolkien is saying, even when all hope is lost, God will make sure that things will go right. And, you know, that's kind of a story you see in the Bible as well. Even at the worst of times, like, there is still a glimmer of hope, and things will shine through God. So I think that might be what Tolkien's trying to say here. At least that's my take on it. So finally, I'm going to talk about the Scouring of the Shire. It's very, I don't want to say contentious, but some people hate it, some people love it. I happen to like it, though it doesn't necessarily make me feel good. So the Scouring of the Shire shows some great themes, again, of taking what you have learned in your travels, in your experience, in your knowledge, and actually using it to help those around you, your world. So Frodo, Sam, Merry, Pippin, they come back to the Shire, and Saruman has gone there and he's taken over shop. He's all the hobbits are slaves pretty much working for him. He has a bunch of ragged men doing his bidding, and the whole place is burning and all the trees are cut down. It's really depressing because the Shire is like this perfect utopia almost in the Fellowship of the Ring, and now it's ruined. It's utterly ruined when they get back. And they have to bring it back to order. They have to use what they've learned and bring the Shire back. And they do that. And it's really cool to watch. And although I don't like the fact that the Shire was ruined, I do like to see how the hobbits, Frodo, Sam, Merry, Pippin, bring it back to a state of grace almost with their experience. So I do like that a lot. And I think it also makes sense in terms of Tolkien's experience, because Tolkien did serve in wars, both world wars, and that colored a lot of his writing and his experience as well. And I think maybe his experience in the wars ties into the last chapter of the book, The Grey Havens. So Frodo has bore this weight of the ring. He has seen much. He's suffered so much, and has this pain from this battle scar, this battle wound that just won't go away. These are all war stories. This is he's a veteran, really. He's experiencing PTSD, if we want to use the modern language for it. He's a disabled veteran experiencing PTSD, and it's almost like Tolkien is saying there are things in war that you have a extreme difficulty in healing. Maybe no capacity to heal with earthly measures is what Tolkien might be getting at here. He couldn't stay in Middle-earth. He had to go to Valinor, because perhaps you would need a mythical place, a godly place to actually rest from the horrors and the atrocities of war. These things are difficult, perhaps impossible to heal from, is what Tolkien seems to be getting at here. And I have some notes here. Perhaps this is a war metaphor for how the pains and sorrows of the world leave you changed forever, and perhaps the only recompense is acceptance in God and fate, and that there is a place bereft of pain. And I think that place is Valinor for Frodo, and perhaps for us it's heaven in some kind of afterlife, and that might be Tolkien's implication as well. So a lot of heavy themes in The Return of the King, and it's an excellent book. The whole arc, it has a dark ending in a lot of ways. It's not like the heroes come home and they're all happy-go-lucky and good. It's a tough ending, and I think that's how life is. I think things don't end in this perfect way. I think life is messy. I think we can run into difficulties along the way, and even if we have a satisfying ending, there are still things that we have to contend with from our experiences. And I think Tolkien shows that, and he puts us in this world where we can maybe learn how to cope with those sort of things a little bit better. So I love Tolkien. I love Lord of the Rings, in case you guys couldn't tell. So let me know what you think of this book, and I will see y'all for the next video. Take care.